All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited to be here today with Scott Weir, the Coda Guy. So today he's going to go over a fantastic workshop for all of you. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the Zoom chat or use the Zoom raise hand feature. And Scott, I'll let you take it away.
Great. Shreya, how long do I got again?
An hour, up to an hour.
Holy mackerel. Sweet.
If you don't have things to fill that much, we can totally.
Yeah, no, I can fill whatever I need to fill. I'm going to call an audible and do some more fun stuff. First of all, I'm Scott. I'm the Coda Guy on Twitter. I forget that I don't really have my name on there. So many people don't know that my name is Scott, but that's my name. This is my office. As you can tell, there's a baby crib behind me. So it's my office / nursery. We've got two kiddos. I've got a 5-year-old and then a little 18-month-year-old. So some points in the middle of the day, she's napping in there and I'm just like, don't take meetings. And I just like silently work, tap away at my keyboard. It's super fun. But yeah, so I'm the Coda Guy, I guess. I've been working on Coda for like close to 6 years, I think. My background is actually in education. I was a public high school teacher for a while, and that's how I started using Coda. There was all these like just ridiculous processes within my school. Specifically, I was a special education teacher, and special education in the States is governed very heavily by federal law. And because of that, there are very specific things you have to do very specific times. And in my mind, I was like, this is nuts. There's no way that people hadn't automated this, right? I'm just like, these processes are very specific. They're outlined, they're detailed, and they're redundant, and they're so hard to do. So I went asking around to all my teacher friends. I was like, what do you guys do for this? And they were like, oh, we just, do it all manually. I thought it was nuts. So I started looking for a solution and somehow stumbled across Coda. Coda was still an early private beta back then. You couldn't sign up for an account. You had to actually like apply for an account. I got approved for one and I just started building. So yeah, that's how and the rest is really history. I wasn't like public within the Coda world for a long time, but I eventually started going towards the community and realizing every question that people have, I can answer. That's interesting. And didn't even set out to really ever leave education, but eventually had so many businesses starting to contact me and just say, hey, we've heard that you're really good with Coda. Can you please help me? I eventually said, you know what? I'm gonna do this. So left education and now really do Coda all day, every day. So my goal today is really whatever you want it to be. I'm very good with Coda, which is super fun. I'm really, really passionate about the product. It's an incredible platform. People will compare it to Notion, but it's way, way more. At its core, it's a relational database, but it's also like an automation platform. I've stopped using Zapier entirely because now I just use Coda and automate different processes through it. So I'm excited to show you guys some stuff. I was going to do like a intro to Coda, but I recently built, and I'm going to let you guys vote. Okay. I recently built a Gumroad clone. So I'm now selling Coda templates. I was selling one on Gumroad and I was like, you know what, this 9% is too much. So I essentially ditched Gumroad and built a clone for myself on top of Coda. And it's live and it's working and it's amazing. It's more of a technical integration build. So I could either show you an example of just like hey, here's from the start, like kind of fundamentally how you use Coda, or I could just start digging into my Gumroad and kind of showing you my thought process, how I worked through it, how I did the integrations, how I did the automations, how I did the public facing pieces. So what do we think? What's our vote?
Maybe anyone can unmute or write in the chat. Gumroad clone versus Coda 101. What would you request? Mike, you get priority since you're on video. Anyone else who wants to go on video? Clone, yeah. Okay. Free vote.
Okay, let's do it.
I was gonna say 101, but
we'll get you some 101 through there. I'll explain what Coda is in the context of my more advanced technical build. And at any time, again, I'm a teacher. I was a teacher through the pandemic, so I'm very used to being on Zoom calls and being the only one talking. So I'm gonna poke fun at you guys if you don't unmute yourself or talk or interact. This would be way more fun if we just do interact, So I'm comfortable with silence. I may ask a question and just sit there and wait for you guys to respond. But anyways, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Let's go for that. And let me know when and if you can see it. Give me some thumbs up. Yay, I got some thumbs up from people. All right, so if you haven't used Coda before, this is what Coda looks like within its interface. You can start any Coda doc by just typing coda.new, and this is what you get. You get a blank canvas ready to go. So each page, right, you've got pages, and this can all hold content. And then you can hold more and more pages on the side. So you have an unlimited ability to hold pages. You can nest pages within folders and kind of structure it that way. Coda is different than other products in that this is a distinct document. It is not, and you should never have a one super doc to rule them all. I always encourage people to organize their documents by larger functionally related buckets, similar to how the applications on your phone are larger functionally related buckets, right? You have a messaging app that does messaging and other messaging related stuff. You have a phone app that does calling, right? You don't have just a phone with one super app. So Coda is the same. Don't create a super doc, create documents that are in larger functionally related buckets. And then inside your document, you've got pages, and your pages can hold all sorts of content from tables to blank text. So here for myself, I've created for my Gumroad clone, I've created two main documents. I have this front end document that is what you get to see. So if you guys wanted to buy my templates, you'd come here and you'd see this front end. I'll share what the actual published link look like. So Coda, similar to some other platforms, you can publish a link so that it appears as a website so that people can access your Coda doc without any sort of login, right? Because I don't want people to have to log in to view my thing. So I have this published link that's set to you don't have to log in, you can just view it. And when they come to it, it's gonna look like this. You can notice how the URL is different. Notice how my pages are on the top now, and they can come here and they can see the different products that I have for sale. They can click into them, they can get more data on what it is, right? So I kind of explain like, this is why you should buy my formula education piece. And then they have the ability to go ahead, press that button and buy it via Stripe. So this is, again, my front end document. This is the one that people are accessing and they're looking at. In Coda as well, you can hide pages. So there's a couple more pages in here. I have my database of products and some other things that I'm using to work with it. But that essentially is Coda. I'm going to go into the back end one. This is the back end one. This one is much more fun. So this is the one I'll spend more of my time in and showing kind of like how we use it to automate things, to automate purchases, some more advanced formulas, some packs, some integrations. We'll go into a lot of things, but I see one question in the chat. So I'm going to answer that and give it a chance for just a few more questions. Matthew says, I would have thought that having one large master document would have been functional, and then to create child docs off that master doc, not so. No, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're a Marvel fan, there's the multiverse, right? Within Marvel, there's multiple parallel universes. And for the most part, those universes exist separately, that characters live and die in one universe and they never touch another universe. That's true, right? But in Marvel, you can actually go to a different universe, right? But it often requires special powers or some super special thing, and or comes with great consequence, right? So can you connect information from one document to another document? Absolutely. I'm actually doing that, and I'll show you how I'm doing it from here to here. But best practice, I would say, and this is my personal preference, is that you should try to structure your documents and your workflows so that you only connect one doc to another doc if absolutely necessary. There's a lot of caveats that come along to when is that absolutely necessary, but for the most part, if you have a bunch of data and it should talk to other data, then those should live in the same doc, okay? But if I have like a finances doc for my company versus a onboarding doc, those should live in different documents. I don't need my finances and my onboarding to talk to each other. So I've created a finance document and I've created a onboarding document, right? Okay. Any other questions before I go into this kind of back end technical space? It can be elementary questions. It can be anything. Bump, 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 dum. All right. Put them in the chat. I'll stop and pause there later and look. All right, so let's look at this. So again, Coda 101, its two main buckets of things is you have a canvas. They call this the canvas. And I can put anything I want here, right? Like this is a heading and I can write stuff, and I can also put sliders here and have numbers there, or I can put even like formulas. User.name is so cool, right? So the canvas is a really dynamic place where you can put a lot of different information properties. This would dynamically update. So if you logged in, this wouldn't say Scott Weir is so cool. This would say, you know, Mike Kozar is so cool. So Coda is a really dynamic canvas, but its other main piece that it has are tables. So I'm using the slash command to insert the different elements that Coda has. You'll notice that it says table, detail, cards, board, calendar, timeline, form. Those are all just different ways to view a table. So I have here a table with columns, more columns. Columns have types, people, checkbox, date, right? You can define that just like any sort of kind of like table or database that you're used to. And then those tables, this is the master table, can have views, right? So I can make a view of this master table, and then I can filter it to where maybe the date dot is not blank. So now I have a view of this same table, and that will dynamically update as it's connected to the other table. We can also view tables as other elements. So I can view a table as cards. So that's what I've done in my Gumroad clone, right? This is essentially just a table with different cards. Each one of these cards is a row. You can see that row here. I have it in the back end where I kind of like structure and decide the data that's going to be in that row. But that's the basic idea of what a table is in Coda. Looking for questions? No questions about table basics. Wonderful. Love it. I'm going to delete this. Goodbye. Okay. So next up, Coda, right? Those are its basic pieces. You've got your table, you've got your canvas. Your table is a relational database. It also has things called packs. So if I go insert and I go packs, packs are there named for integrations, the ways to integrate with external services. So you can notice that there's a ConvertKit, there's a Stripe one, there's a Gmail one, right? There's an Outlook pack. There is so many different packs that you can use. And so you can, Coda is the all-in-one doc, right? Rather than having to like switch between services all the time, Coda allows you to connect to many different services in one place. So you aren't kind of like context switching all the time. In this specific Gumroad pack, I've used our clone. I've used a lot of packs. So the packs that I use to power this is one called Coda Webhook. It's actually one I developed. This is the way that I transverse multiple universes, right? So this is actually how, when a purchase is made, so this table is called DB Stripe payments. Every single time a Stripe purchase is made, this table is catching that in real time. I'll explain how that happens later, but essentially at the same time, I want to log that someone bought quick date controls, right? So I've used this Coda Webhook pack that's connected to this button here. It's called log purchase. And all that does is it goes and it says, hey, templates, can you update the number sold, right? So that's one pack is how I'm kind of transversing multiple universes, aka connecting information from two docs. I'm using ConvertKit. ConvertKit is an email marketing platform. It's how I power my emails. So if you were to go and you were to buy one of these real fast, what you would get is about, I think ConvertKit takes a little bit. So it takes about 10 seconds, right? So if you were to go and you were to actually buy one of these and purchase it, about 10 seconds later, you would get an email from ConvertKit that's branded with me. And it just says like, hey, thank you so much for buying this. Like, this is awesome. Here's your template, and gives you a button to access it. So I have Coda Webhook, ConvertKit. I've got send to Discord. I use Discord a lot. So I'm also just notifying myself on Discord when a purchase is made. And then Stripe, of course, I'm using Stripe as my payment processor. So what that is doing is it's just pulling in my products, right? Here's all my different products. It brings in the payment links for them. so that I can use that payment link line items. It's got a lot of different data directly from my Stripe in real time. And then I've also created a custom pack called Stripe Webhook. So essentially when a Stripe purchase is made, it just parses the data because data comes in from Stripe as this large, like complicated block of JSON code. So I've made a simple pack called Stripe Webhook that just takes that complicated JSON and parses it into like, what product did a person buy? And then use some different things, some Coda formulas to filter out, okay, if this person bought quick date controls, that means that I should find this my target product. I need to give them this link, right? This is the Coda doc template that I need to deliver to them. So this, and then lastly, I'll give you the whole overview, then we'll go into the pieces and the parts. Lastly, how do I catch Stripe webhooks? Coda has something called automations as well, right? And automations are great. They can be triggered off of row change. So if someone changes a row in your table, maybe it's a status column where a project is done versus not done, right? Maybe you have an automation in there that says when person changes status from not done to done, then I want you to notify me, right? So it's just simple rules. There's time-based ones that you can run, like every hour, run this automation. But then lastly, there's webhook invoked. Webhook invoked are the only essentially instantaneous in real-time automations that are triggered. So for my Gumroad clone, I'm catching a webhook from Stripe, right? So in Stripe, I said, hey, every time a purchase is made, take this URL and give it some information. It's like a phone call, right? So Stripe is basically every single time someone buys something Stripe, it calls a unique phone number. The unique phone number is this phone number here. And then Coda receives that, picks up and says, sweet, Stripe purchase is made, my turn to execute. And then I have said, hey, Coda, when a Stripe calls you, execute these things. Add a row to my DB Stripe payments with all that information. And then I want you to, I just these are some hidden formulas, but I just said, hey, can you wait a second just for all the data populate, just to make sure. And then after that, I say run action, step to result, add to tag and trigger. That's this button right here. So what that does is it's basically adding that person to my ConvertKit, and it's adding a tag to them, which triggers the delivery of their email. After that, will you notify me in Discord that a purchase has been made? And then after that, will you go and update my doc that a purchase has been made as well, so we can continue that log and that counter. And so this all happens, again, automations between, I think, a lot of services, right? We've got Coda, 2 Coda docs, we've got Stripe webhooks, we've got ConvertKit, and we've got Discord. And I am logging all these automations kind of instantaneously without any Zapier, Make, or other usage of things. It's really fun. It's really fun. Okay, I'm going to give a second to digest, to think of questions, to type them into the chat. I see one. How does Coda, from real world experience, work in collaboration with other team members that are not that tech savvy? Adoption. Is it possible to raise internal tool builders like Retool? Absolutely, Chris. I am actually with one organization right now. They're decommissioning Retool, and we're going to be using Coda instead. Coda, again, Coda is a unique product. Okay, Coda, for the most part, Coda is used like a document, like a functional replacement for a Google Doc, right? People are writing up like, this is my project request. And then people are commenting on that. So just like in Google Docs, right? You can have a whole paragraph of information, and maybe it's like a report on something, and people can come in and they can comment on that, and they can like tag each other and say like, Scott Weir, this is great, and attach stuff. And so most people use it like a Google document with extra structured data and information and tables, a way to collaborate on upcoming projects or to manage tasks and more simple pieces like that. But Coda has a really high ceiling, meaning that you can do a lot with it. So for example, I'd say the first like 6 years that I used spreadsheets, like a Google sheet or an Excel sheet, I never wrote a formula, right? I just used it to log data and log information and structure information, but I never actually used a single Excel formula. But people build wild stuff on Excel, right? They build get video games on Excel. It's insane what you can do. And I think Coda is the same in that it's got a ton of utility at its lower levels, meaning if I just want to use it like a document editor to collaborate with people, to comment on tasks, can I do that? Absolutely. It's phenomenally built for that. But if you want to take and extend Coda to some more like extreme use cases, it has a really high ceiling. It has a lot of things that you can maneuver and kind of really build real applications. Christy said, but it looks promising. What does Retool do better than Coda? Retool is more geared towards a low code development crowd, meaning low code, right? That you know how to code. Coda is a no code tool. So Coda is geared towards the crowd that does not know how to code and does not have any background in programming experience. I would more classify Coda as a low code tool myself, because now there's an open PAX platform, meaning these integrations that you see, I've built them in JavaScript, right? So I can build like custom integrations and I can build custom actions for my Coda docs with JavaScript. So for me, it's more of a low code tool, but for the majority of people, Coda is a no code tool and provides a ton of value without any code whatsoever. Retool is much more of a low code geared towards developers. Someone said my reasons for not using Coda at the moment are privacy, security controls, and the inability to really edit on mobile. Am I right in these concerns? Are there solutions? Number one, privacy, security controls. It depends on what kind of privacy or security you're looking for. You do have to assume that any single person who has access to your doc technically has access to every piece of information within that doc. There are ways to lock down your doc. So I still do it with a lot of teams, where someone will come to me and say, hey, I've got this internal doc for my team of 10 people, but there's some data in here that I don't want 5 people to access our view. For the most part, not even for the most part, you can lock that data down within a doc so those people cannot see it by any normal means, meaning by searching or by going and looking at pages. You can put different security controls on that. I've kind of given a little bit of insight into how to do that in one of my YouTube videos called Access Tables. Maybe Shreya can go look for my Access Tables video and link it, but it gives some more ideas on how you kind of lock down a doc. But again, that's assuming that your internal team of 10, and when you say, I don't want these 5 people to view, aren't going to have really nefarious kind of motive, because you still have to assume that they could, through Coda's API or through other more technically oriented ways, could grab access to that data. But it is a big lift to try to do it. So you'd have to assume that that person kind of has malicious intent. Another way to securely store data is via crossdock. So I, for example, have used crossdock within my Gumroad clone. Here's free products. So if you want one of my templates for free, there is an option where you can buy it for $0, right? And I want the $0 to go directly to that link. Boop. So you open that and that goes right to this link that you can copy to make your own. In order to access that link, which is stored on this page, I have cross-docked it in, and you can see that I have here 4 products, right? But inside of my Gumroad, free products, there's only 2. So this is one way to get data in a secure way from one document to another, in terms of it's a slice of data. If you are in this document, you do not have any access to my other products. So that is the one way to securely access it. Lastly, it's mobile app. Yeah, it's mobile app isn't great. If mobile is heavy for you and you need it, I'm not going to recommend Coda. Wow. Do you ever use Coda with Airtable, or does it provide a better data boost solution? Yes, absolutely, Mike. I use Airtable almost full time as well. Coda has an Airtable pack. I would say, again, I've spent countless hours in Airtable. I know it through and through. Coda is better in almost every single regard, hands down, except for data size and speed. Airtable's automations are going to happen way faster. Sometimes you like have a row changed automation in Coda where you're like, hey, if a row changes, do this. And you like sit there and you wait for like 15 seconds. And you're like, why isn't that happening? Airtables are just like, bam, they happened. Also data size, right? Coda doesn't have any hard limits. Airtable does have hard limits, meaning they're like, if you're on this plan, you can have X amount of rows in a base. Coda doesn't have that, but they do have what I would call soft limits. meaning that if you have like a wildly complex doc with all these different formulas, you're going to start realizing that my doc feels extremely clunky and slow around 5 to 10,000 rows. Hopefully that number is going up, where that kind of soft limit where your doc starts to feel like a big sludge bucket will go up. But besides that, Coda is far more powerful, especially in its formula language. Its formula language sets it apart, bar none, over Airtables. There are many things where I am with some clients, they have bases of like, 100,000 rows. And so obviously we're not using Coda for that, but there's some more complex data manipulation that needs to happen to that data. And so what I'm actually doing is I'm using an Airtable pack. I bring in the data into Coda. I use Coda's much more powerful formula language to manipulate the data in the way that we need it. And then I trigger a Airtable webhook, which pings that data back to Airtable. So essentially I'm using Coda as like a data processor to like process the data within Airtable. Your other question, Mike, haven't explored that. How do you catch errors with automation, said Glenn. Coda will alert you if there's an error. Automations, rule, activity. I guess there's no activity on that rule. Let's go to here. Here you go, activity. So Coda will alert you if you have errors on your automations. Notice here I can see when it ran. I can kind of see some data on the run itself. Let's see if there's any errors down here. It might have been on the first day because I was still setting it up. Nope, guess not. Too good at this. But essentially you will get notified via an email and via a Coda notification up here. There's no way to like formulaic access those, but what you can do, and I built this for Airtable, I've built like an email parser that takes every single Airtable error that I have, and like it reads that. And then once it finds the Airtable error, it parses the data in there and pulls out all sorts of stuff, such as the name of the automation, all this, and then it adds a row to a Coda table. So I actually have a whole Coda doc that is logging all the metadata on every single Airtable automation error that I have across all my like 100 bases, right? So while I haven't done that for Coda, you could do the same thing where you build kind of this like email parser thingamajiggy, and then you parse the errors that come to your email from Coda, and then you log those as a row in Coda to kind of catch those. So that's what I would do if someone was serious about Coda automation errors. What are your most powerful Coda formulas that aren't possible within Airtable? So Coda, there's no really like list ability within Airtable, right? So for example, I had a table in Airtable that looked kind of like this, Monday, and then it had like hours, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then it had like Tuesday, and then it had, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay. In Airtable, if you wanted to pull out specific information, you're going to have to use like regex or left or complicated things like that. Coda has something called split, which gives us, it's essentially turning static text into an array or into a list that we can do stuff on. So I would say name.split. So turn that information in there. Boop, boop. Let's X out this, right? Turn that information into a list based off of, and then you can choose your delimiter. So I could say based off of that, right? And then I could see my new list, right? So now it's taken that and it's said, okay, well, that's where I found a space every single time. But you could also do it based off of a line break, right? So now I've got 2 items in there. And then you can run loops over that. So then I can say, now I have a list of 2 items. And so then I can say for each of those items within there, what I want you to do is, and then you can define and you can like loop over values. So Coda has, I guess, what you'd call a Turing complete coding language, which means its coding language is complex enough to be able to build full applications. And so with that, I think a lot of its powerful formulas are filter, are the ability to split, and then based off that split, run loops off of data. And based off that data, you also have actions which can do all sorts of stuff like add rows, delete rows, notify. So I could say, hey, for each one of these things, I want you to go and I want you to add a row to a different table. And then for each one of those things, I want you to go and notify someone of this thing. And right, so it's this ability to essentially work with arrays and lists and run actions and loop through values are some of the core things that set it apart. They're all great ideas. One other thing that I would say really was hard moving from Airtable to Coda is what I found hard with Airtable. I was like, why don't they have this? So this is the idea. When this is where like Coda becomes really special and fun. So let's say I have just an idea of projects, and this is going to be my project, and this is going to be my all tasks. So I have a projects table and I have a task table, right? This is the task and this is the project. In Airtable, when you want to relate fields, right, you have to do like a multi-select lookup thing. And so I would have to column type, lookup, let's go from project, right? Is that what I'm looking for? Yeah, so if I have a task and this is, let's say this is build a bike, and let's say this is clean the kitchen. So can you guys see this okay? Is it not too small? I feel like it's small. And let's say this task is to obviously mop the floors and then eat. I'm not gonna eat anything for a bike, am I? I'm not gonna eat a bike wheel. I'm gonna go, what do I do for a bike? Get materials and get wheels. The first things that are coming to my head. You guys aren't helping out at all. You can tag these, right? Clean the kitchen. This is build a bike. This is build a bike. Get wheels. Let's build a bike. But there's no formula like this in Airtable where I can simply say, hey, I want you to go into tasks and I want you to find where the project is equal to this row. And now just have that dynamically update in real time, right? Build a bike, updates that. And I know Airtable has this like double linked record system, but when it comes down to like, you have to go and make historical edits, or you have to like update a bunch of stuff from here. Coda's filter formula is a far more powerful way, I find, to relate databases than Airtable's like manual selection thing. So it's really fun too, because you can also say like all tasks dot filter, and you can write anything in there, right? And to where the task dot starts with the letter G. So you could just like define like silly stuff, right? Now it's just finding tasks that start with the letter G. So you just have an immense control over your data and over how you relate things and how you do things due to its more fun formula language. Okay. Any other questions, guys? How I made a Gumroad clone, integrations, packs, formulas, possibilities. How do you copy a view to another page? How do I copy a view to another page? Oh, so like if I had this Stripe payments and I wanted a view over here. Matthew, Coda's is far superior. And I mean, I've talked with all the Notion people out there. They know me, I know them, and they'll readily admit it. They wish that Notion's formula language could be similar to Coda's, but Coda's is just an absolute whole other field. So either the things that you can do with Coda are just not possible on Notion at all, or they require an immense amount of like weird rejects and like tens of hundreds of lines of code. It's awful. It's horrible. Anyways, how do I copy a view to another page? You simply mean like this. So when you're doing, if I want a view of anything, I can say, I want a table. And then I can choose connect to, so I can choose from my past tables and create a view, or I can choose a blank table. The other way I can do it is I can simply go Command copy on my keyboard, and then I can just come here, I can paste it, and now I've created a view. And then this view is connected to the raw data of the other table, but it's independent and that I can filter it. Oh, another thing that's great about Coda, where I just like get so frustrated with Airtable. So I had an Airtable base of like, you know, like 100,000 records, right? And each record has a unique ID. And I wanted to just see a view of 15 of them specifically. And what I had to go do is I had to go up into the filter section of Airtable and go one by one. I had to define where unique ID contains this, or unique ID contains this, or unique ID contains this. What you can do in Coda that is just far more fantastic. You could just define, see these, right? And then you could say, I want to see number 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 9. And then you'd essentially, so let's filter, this is a random number, see 1 and 5, right? You could essentially go, hey, I just want to see, and Coda has the same thing where you can like dynamically like just choose here, but you can also just do it as a formula. So I can just say, show me the rows where number dot is in CVs dot name, right? So I just say, hey, show me the rows where the number is in this long list. And so you can just like dynamically refer to any part of your document to do that. Or you can also just have really quick select controls up here. So I can just say, hey, actually go ahead and filter this, but add a canvas filter. So now I can just go up here and this would dynamically update in real time, right? Whereas Airtable, you've got to kind of like hard code each base's view and what the filters are. And if you want to see just a specific slice, you have to kind of identify all those. Also in Airtable, you are stuck with their visual UI in terms of defining filters, and you can only go so far in how you define dynamic and or conditions. And so there's been some actually views on Airtable that I've wanted before that I haven't been able to create at all because you're restricted to that user interface builder. So I've actually ported that information into Coda, written kind of a custom Coda formula that filters it exactly what I want. Any recommendations for how to get started? Tutorials for building basic apps? Of course, I'm going to plug myself, Mike. Right now, I'm working on a small team, and we're building the Coda School. So the Coda School is coming really soon. We're so close. We've been working on it for months. And boom, let's go there. So Coda School is coming soon. Unlock your potential with Coda School. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be super cool. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best thing you've ever seen. Of course, I'm a little bit partial and biased because I'm building it, but we're going to be soft launching in November. So it's going to be an invite only launch. It's going to be at a severely discounted price for people who want in, and then we'll be public launching in January. My YouTube channel is great. The YouTube channel is awesome. Coda themselves run a free boot camp. So you could look into that. Coda runs kind of a free boot camp that kind of walks you through it. Coda has a good amount of YouTube content as well. They're more like basic introductory stuff, but if that's what you're looking for, it's phenomenal. There's the Coda community. So the Coda community is a place where you can go and post any questions you have. There's a bunch of phenomenally smart people on there that are ready and quick to answer. I am one of them, but there's like, you know, probably like 15 other people who are just wickedly smart with Coda and just give a ton of their time to answer and help people out. So I'd say if you want to learn, I'm going to plug myself because why not? Coda School and my YouTube channel are great things. I'm always tweeting about fun tips. And then there's the Coda community, the Coda Run Bootcamp, the Coda community. And they also have one called the Learn Doc. That's like another very basic Coda Learn Doc. I think that's a thing. The Learn Doc. Welcome to Coda. Learn by watching, learn by doing, relevant resources. So I would say those are some really good things. Can you use and or operators to filter by multiple terms in the connected filter? Absolutely, Clark. You can do anything you want. It's just as flexible as any sort of coding language. JavaScript, that's that. You can write any sort of advanced filters, conditions, things that you need. That's really cool. Coda is like crazy flexible. There was one example too, where like I have a formula that is just slow. It just takes a long time, especially during certain operations. So I actually wrote in this dynamic action, I wrote this set of actions that would essentially say, hey, when I press this button, I want you to go into my doc and other areas, and I'm going to have you pause these different formulas. Don't have anything calculate so that this runs faster. Then run my operation. And when my operation is done, then I want you to go back and institute those again, right? So you're just able to like write these incredibly complex kind of like actions formulas and things to create a document as powerful as an app. It's wonderful. Any other questions? Any other things people want to see? Maybe I'll show one more fun document I've built and then we'll move on and we can go to a different day. You can get out of here early. Let me pause my screen share just in case. Okay, what would be fun to see? Go to whoever just said that, Moro, Sabine. Just go to codaschool.io, and just join the waiting list. If you get on that waiting list, you'll hear any sort of updates that happen. Oh, this is a fun one. This is going to be my next template that I'm going to sell. It's very specific to how I work. And so, but it's just like a to-do list. That's all it is, but it's really, really fun. I really like it. So I have this to-do list, and how I like to work every single morning is I come in and I just like brain dump my tasks. Am I sharing? Can you guys see this? Okay, I brain dump my tasks, right? I just like add them all, and I have these different types, right? So maybe I have a new consulting task, and then notice it popped in directly with consulting, and that task is to get a new surfboard. I'm just going to write the first things that come to my mind. And maybe I have another one for the Coda School, which is like update the website, right? And I just brain dump. Personal, okay, I need to do mop the floors, okay? And then I come in and I identify by priority. So now I come in and I say, well, okay, mop the floors is green, update the website is orange. For me, there's just 3 colors. Red is the most priority. And getting a surfboard, I really want to go surfing, right? So I come in and I define those. And then I simply say to myself, let's forget about the green ones, right? So I press that little toggle, say goodbye to green. And now I go, okay, what am I going to work on now? And so I specifically then go, okay, I've got about 2 hours right now. I'm going to work on this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then I go to tasks right now. These are the 4 ones that I chose. And now I can actually reorder them in the order. So now I can go, okay, well, these are the 4 tasks I need to do. I've decided it on their priority. I'm going to wash the car. Then I'm going to go get an anniversary present. After that, I'll already be out. So I'll get a new surfboard and then I'll do this. And then I can mark them as done as they go. So it's just like, it matches. Again, it's exactly how I work. Other people may not want it to do this like this, but I think it just shows the flexibility of Coda, that I could take exactly how my brain works and turn it into a kind of this ritual, this rhythm at the beginning of the day where I can really prioritize my time exactly how I want to do it. There's also one more super fun thing in here that happens. If you mark a task as done like this, it'll just mark done and go away. But each task can also hold subtasks, as you can tell. Get an anniversary present, like maybe I want to define what that is and that task. So here's get an anniversary present. What do I need to do? I need to decide what to buy. And then I need to add another subtask, buy it. If I try to mark get an anniversary present as done, and it has subtasks that are not yet completed, that's done button will actually do something different. Boop, it actually pops up. Are you sure you want to mark this complete? There's still undone parent task connected to this task. And then you can either go, oh, shoot, you're right, I didn't want to do that. Or you can confirm done and it'll actually close it out. So again, just shows more of the flexibility of how Coda works in terms of just being able to like make this document super tailored to my specific workflow and how my brain works. So yeah, and that's where I'll end. We still have a little bit of time left if people want to ask questions or anything, or we can head out. Yes, Glenn, they didn't reflect in the master table. For sure, everything's connected. I've also built this fun in here. Why not show one more thing? I built a custom pack for this template too, where you can define the colors that you want to tag right? So I have these tag types and here's my selectable color. So if I go to task types, here's the color that I want it to be. I can say actually personal is going to be light green, right? I can change those tasks and then that will show up. But I built this fun pack, which is just merely for fun. If you want to add a new color to your color set, you can choose to get a random color. And it goes and it hits an external API. So this will just keep giving you random colors for days. And you can decide, I like that color. I want that color to replace this color in my database. Or you can say, nah, I'm going to get a new random color or a new random color. And you go, oh, that pink's sweet. I'm going to go and I'm going to replace it for soft pink. Goodbye, right? And now my soft pink has become pink. So just some more fun stuff that you can do with Coda. It's really fun. All right. Any last questions? No? See, no. Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me. I did block out a little more time, so if anybody wants to stick around and ask some questions, I'm down. If not, head out. You can find me on Twitter. You can also find me on my email if you ever need anything. And there we go. That's it. That's me. Thanks, Glenn. Oh, last thing before you go, before anyone goes, if you do me a favor, we're creating something called the Coda Quiz. The Coda School is coming out with the Coda Quiz. We're almost ready to launch. It's a really super fun, interactive way to test your own Coda knowledge. So you come in here and you get to come and test all your knowledge, and you're going to get it's amazing. All that to say, it's going to take 3 minutes. Would you guys take the Coda Quiz for me? We need a couple people to take it to get a sample data set. I'm going to put the publish link in here. We need 20 people at the end of the day to take it to get a sample data set of people from a wide range of Coda knowledges, so that your scores can actually mean something. If you take it right now, it will the quiz is going to say oh great, thanks for taking it, here's your you're going to get your PDF report. You are not going to get a PDF report yet. We are not live, but we need a sample set of data to actually develop reports that are meaningful based off your scores. So if you want to help me out and my team out, go take the Coda Quiz, which I just linked.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Mike, you better take the Coda Quiz. I see you, Mike.
Thanks
Better take it.
for joining. Really glad that you could join us. See you later.
Yeah. Great to be here. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.